everybody? Check him out on YouTube, The Maximum Inquisition, every Thursday over at Monk's Corner Tap House. He hosts the Comic Belief open mic over there. It's pretty fucking dope. Danger, I like that you sounded like Clint Eastwood for a second when you were talking about horses and corrals. You're like, ugh, there's horses in there. And then you went, that's how I wish that Clint Eastwood reacted in every single movie he was ever in. It's like, do you feel lucky? And they're like, yes. He's like, just me. Your next comedian come to stage. Oh man, he has been a staple here in Albuquerque for quite some time. But now that's about to change, because he's getting ready to leave us for San Francisco. Right? Boo, San Francisco! Not boo Will Bolt, because Will Bolt's great, but boo San Francisco! This is quite possibly his very last comedy performance here in Albuquerque, so you motherfuckers better fucking stay with that shit! Next comic is Will Bolt! Thank you, Kevin. Kevin was at the, can I borrow your table? Kevin was at the first open mic I did in Albuquerque at Evolution, which is no longer a thing, and he was always a cool guy, so it's an honor to have him host my last set here. It's weird to say that. Yeah, so I started doing stand-up in Albuquerque about 5 years ago. I had just gotten back from Japan, where I was an English teacher. They call you a Eigo sensei out there, which is kind of like calling a substitute teacher a professor. It's kind of weird being called that. I found out I really know nothing about teaching people English being out there. I don't think I really had a whole lot of success stories. My biggest success story was I got one of the receptionists at Eikaiwa that I taught at. Eikaiwa is kind of like it's like a thing for if you're an adult and you have more money than you know what to do with and you think it'd be fun to learn English, you go to an Eikaiwa. It's funny because people always whenever I tell people I lived in Japan, people are like, oh, they speak English really well out there, right? And it's like, no. They speak English like we speak Spanish. It's that same level. So if you go out there thinking I could just talk to anyone, no. You can't. Unless you're ordering food or something. But I taught at Eikaiwa for a while, and I had this really nice reception. There's a place called GABA, which is a terrible place to work. If you ever decide to go teach English in Japan, do not work at GABA. You get paid nothing, and they're not very nice to you. But I had this one receptionist. She was a super nice lady. She would call me sometimes if I had a surprise student. I wasn't scheduled to work that day, but somebody requested me. She would give me a call and she'd be like, Ryu Sensei, you have a student, please come down to the station and whatever. I got her to speak beautiful English once by being late to work. Every single time I would talk to her, Ryu Sensei, how are you today? Genki desu ka? That's all I would ever get from her. One day I was an hour late to work. I get this phone call, and here's what I hear. William, where the fuck are you? I did my job as far as I'm concerned. That was perfect. Yeah, it was great. It was honestly that's a true story. I was shocked. I was on the phone and part of me felt super guilty about being late to work. That's a huge deal in Japan. You are never late to work. They have a thing out there where if the train is late, because everybody does public transportation out there, if the train is late, they are required to give you a piece of paper that says that the train was late, so you can prove to your boss that you're not full of shit. So I was late to work, so I felt bad about that, but honestly, I was on the phone impressed. I was like, holy crap, you sound amazing right now. You should always be angry when you talk to Americans. So I was teaching English in Japan, and I came out here, and I didn't have a job. I was broke for a while. Being broke is no fun. I kind of found out being broke that past due statements are kind of the missing child posters for adults. I get these letters from Visa have you seen William? If you see him, tell him Capital One Visa misses him. We'd like to know when he's going to be back. Yeah, so I was broke for a while. Then I became a substitute, because that's apparently my level of education is like substitute level. That's where I'm at for teaching people. Being a substitute is interesting. So to become a substitute teacher in Albuquerque, New Mexico, you have to take a test. Because they don't want just anybody, right? But they ask you certain questions. I'm going to tell you one of the questions that I was asked, okay? I did not write this question. I did not write the answers, okay? This was all written up by the Board of Education. So I'm going to tell you this in case you ever think you want to become a substitute. You need to be able to answer this question, okay? Are you guys ready? Thank you. Somebody knows how to call and response. Okay, here's the question. When is it okay to touch a child? What? Now, hold on, it's multiple choice. This is not fill in the blank here, okay? It's multiple choice. The answers are A, never, B, if the child's life is in immediate danger, or C, only when you're alone with the child. Now, if you're one of those people sitting there scratching your head like, I don't know, I guess if you're alone with them, it's okay. You only need a 70% to pass, so you're probably fine. They don't care which 70% you get right. It's just, So I was a substitute for a while, and I learned that like being a substitute in Albuquerque was not for me. It was just not for me. Because when I shave my face, I look young. And especially 6 years ago when I started, I looked really young. And I went to school one day, this was on the west side, and I went to school one day and a security guard stopped me. I parked my car, I was walking to class, security guard stopped me and said, hey, are you a substitute or are you a new student? And I thought, oh boy. Because I remember being a new student at a high school. And it's not fun when you're 16. And it's especially not fun when you're 30. Because like, new students, they always get their asses kicked, right? Like that's just part of being a new student. And when you're 16, that's fine. Like getting beat up when you're 16 is totally fine. That's just a part of life, and it happens, and you go home and your parents say things like, hey, bucko, it'll be all right. Someday you're gonna go to college and you're gonna have sex and do drugs and life's gonna be great. But when you're 30 and you get your ass kicked by a 17-year-old, there's no conversation to be had. You go home to your cat and you eat ice cream and you watch Netflix and like that's it. I mean, that's all that happens. It's really depressing. You ever notice that? You notice how like when you were a kid, like things had sort of like this certain like excitement to it. Like you would clean your room and your parents would be like, hey, good job, kid, here's some ice cream or something like that. And now it's like you clean your room and you're just like, great. This is a fantastic place to have an existential crisis. I'm gonna curl up in a ball and cry here for a while. I mean, that's me. I don't know. While I was broke living in New Mexico, when I was a substitute teacher, I took public transportation a lot. I like to walk a lot, and I had this interesting experience with some local residents. I was walking down Central, and I had this couple pass me, and one of them said, like, hey, do you have a cigarette? And I don't smoke, so I said, no, I don't. And I thought that was the end of the interaction. We kind of parted ways a bit, and one of them turned to me and said, like, hey, fuck you, you broken condom! What? Yeah, exactly. What? That is way too, like, extreme of a reaction. Very specific, and wrong, too, because my parents were Catholic. They didn't believe in condoms. So, I mean, she was wrong, but also, like, wow, like, I kind of feel like sometimes smokers are really entitled. Like, the fact that you can go up to a complete stranger and say, like, hey, do you have a cigarette? Cool, can I have it? Like, I don't understand that because, like I could never go up to a random person on the street and ask for their Netflix password. Like, hey, dude, like, can I have your Netflix password? I really need to watch the new season of Orange is the New Black. Like, just come on, man. Like, I couldn't do that. It'd be weird. Inappropriate. So after being a substitute, I got a job at a call center. Super fun. Working at a call center was a blast. Let me tell you something. Getting yelled at by strangers all day. Oh my goodness. I worked at T-Mobile, and they wanted us to like sound excited when we got on the phone. So this thing called that's the exact sound I made. They had this thing called amped openings they wanted us to do. So you would get on the phone and you would say stupid shit like, "Hey, thank you for calling T-Mobile technical support. I'm gonna be your tech samurai. I'm cutting all your problems in two." Or like, "Hey, I hope you're not religious because I'm gonna be casting some spells on your phone. I'm the tech heretic." Or just stupid shit, right? I could never do that, so I'd always get on the phone and be like, "Oh, hey." I don't know if anyone's ever had this conversation with you before, but someday you're gonna die. Whatever's happening with your phone right now isn't that important. Let me tell you about entropy. Have you guys ever heard about entropy? It's some weird shit. So I couldn't work there for very long. I moved from being on the phones to actually doing like social media for T-Mobile, and like you get even weirder people there. I had this guy before I quit writing us on Twitter saying, "I pay you fuckers $100 a month and I have to block my own phone calls? Fuck you!" What? Yes, you have to block your own phone calls, dude. I don't know you don't want to talk to your mom. Give me a break. It was ridiculous. I was driving around the other day and I saw this sign that said, "Modern dentists." I sure hope so, buddy. I want to see the sign that says "old-timey dentists." You walk in there, they hand you like, or they lay out on the table like a ball peen hammer and like a bottle of whiskey. You pick the order. We can remove the teeth first, or just whatever you want, man. We're old-timey here. Do it the American way. So I'm 36 now. I'm recently 36, and that's a great thing. Yeah. Woo! 36. That is a thing that we all get excited about. I started smoking pot not too long ago, and I got kind of like religious about it recently. Yeah. That is something to get excited about. And I found out that I'm bad at getting high. I don't know if this is a thing, but I'm bad at it. I never know if I'm actually high or not. I had to come up with a test. Here's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you guys. Maybe this will be helpful to you. You can use this yourself. So I came up with a test. Basically, here's how it works. If you're curious, am I high right now? And you don't know, if it's 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, and you're at a Jiffy Lube eating popcorn, you're high. That's just how it works. But the thing is being at Jiffy Lube and high is great. It's a fantastic place to be because they've got all-you-can-drink soda and coffee. Oprah's usually on, and there's a dude named Greg there who will talk to you about brake pads for hours. It's a fantastic, safe, welcoming place to be high. So just if you find yourself in that situation, you're okay. All right. So that's my time, you guys. That was my last set in Albuquerque. Thank you so much. Everybody give a big round of applause to Kevin Braga, Tito Dameron, both of you brothers. Your headliner's coming up. Super excited about all this, and thank you guys for being out here. Real applause, everybody. Did you motherfuckers savor that shit? Oh boy. Oh man, you need to learn how to savor, my friends. Grow a mustache. It's called the savor. The flavor saver. Savor flavor. The savor saver.